A Gambling Addiction Guide. Chapter 1. Gambling Addiction. Gambling Addiction/Gambling Help Info. The impulse to gamble can cause major disruption in a person's life. Gambling is easily available. You may be addicted to gambling if several of the following factors apply to you. Being preoccupied with gambling. Planning the next gambling venture. Thinking of ways to get money for gambling. Fantasizing about how to spend the money once you win. Wanting to gamble with increasing amounts of money, trying unsuccessfully to control gambling. Using gambling as an escape. Lying to family members. Committing illegal acts such as forgery, fraud, theft, or embezzlement. Try number 363, number 616.852, Gambling Addiction, or HV6710 at the library for books on the treatment of gambling. Books about gambling as a compulsive problem are at number 616.85841 or RC 569.5 at the library. Books about the money part of gambling are at number 332.68, books about the art of gambling are at number 795, namely 795.4 or GV1282 at the library. Gambling websites. rgco.org/en. The Responsible Gambling Council. Gambling.net, gambling links on the net. ngisc.gov, National Gambling Impact Study. Gambling.com, gambling.com. pbs.org/wgbh/pages/frontline/shows/gamble, easy money. Gamblersanonymous.org, Gamblers Anonymous. Gamblingtherapy.org. StopPredatoryGambling.org. ProblemGambling.vic.gov.au. TEENAGE-GAMBLING-ADDICTION.org. Parkinsons.org.nz/books/compulsivebehaviors.pdf, pathological gambling. ccccsatl.org/gambling-debt-help.asp, Consumer Credit Counseling Service. gambling911.com, goldenpalace.com/info/myths.php. gamblingwiththegoodlife.com. problemgamblingguide.com. uarenotaloan.ca. gamingfloor.com/problem_gambling.html. 800gambler.org, 800-426-2537, New Jersey. azccg.org, 800-777-7207, Arizona. calproblemgambling.org, 800-FACTS4U, California. ccpg.org, 800-346-6238, Connecticut. flccjail.com, 800-426-7711, Florida. msgambler.org, 888-777-9696, Mississippi. naughty.org, 800-541-4557. ncpgambling.org, 800-522-4700. ncpgambling.org/state, state-by-state breakdown. neccg.com, 800-560-2126, Nebraska. olganon.org, online gaming. problemgambling.com. problemgambling.org. wscpg.org, 800-547-6133, Washington State. gspot.org.au. 800-GAMBLER. Gambling Help. Canadian Foundation on Compulsive Gambling. 505 Consumers Road. Number 801. Toronto, on M2J4V8. 416-499-9800. 416-222-7477. Fax, 416-499-8260. responsiblegambling.org. cfcg.on.ca. Compulsive Gambling Center Hotline. 800-332-0402. Council on Compulsive Gambling. 218-722-1503. Council on Compulsive Gambling. 800-426-2537. Gam-Anon. epub 157. Whitestone, New York 11357. 718-352-1671. Help for Gamblers' Relatives. Gamblers Anonymous. epub 17173. Los Angeles, California 90017. 718-352-1671. 213-386-8789. Fax, 213-386-0300. isaman@gamblersanonymous.org. Gamblersanonymous.org. Gambling Busters. Plymouth, Ma. 800-294-3500. Institute for the Study of Gambling and Commercial Gaming. University of Nevada, Reno. Reno, Nevada 89557-0016. 702-784-1477. Fax, 702-784-4337. National Council of Compulsive Gambling. 445 West 59th St. NYC 10019. 212-765-3833. 800-522-4700. ncpgambling.org. Referrals. National Center for Pathological Gambling. 924 East Baltimore St. Baltimore, Maryland 21202. 800-332-0402. Everything. South Oaks Hospital. 400 Sunrise Highway. Amityville, New York 11701. 800-732-9808. Gambling Addiction. Gambling, compulsive, associations, organizations, websites. apgsa.org, Association of Problem Gambling Service Administrators, APGSA. gam-anon.org, Gam-Anon. Gamblersanonymous.org, Gamblers Anonymous, GA. Gamblingproblem.net, Institute for Problem Gambling, IPG. ncpgambling.org, National Council on Problem Gambling, NCPG. azccg.org, Arizona Council on Compulsive Gambling, ACCG. calproblemgambling.org, California Council on Problem Gambling. nicachc.com, Chinese American Problem Gambling. 1800betsoff.org, Compulsive Gambling Center. ccpg.org, Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling. 800gambler.org, Council on Compulsive Gambling of New Jersey. femalegamblers.org, Female Gamblers. gamblinghelp.org, Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling, FCCG. gamblingtoomuch.com, Gambling Too Much. gamblingwiththegoodlife.com, Gambling with the Good Life. 1800betsoff.org, Iowa Office of Gambling Treatment and Prevention. noodds.org, Know the Odds. lawprobgam.org, Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling. masscompulsivegambling.org, Massachusetts Council on Compulsive Gambling. responsiblegaming.co.za, National Responsible Gaming Program. nevadacouncil.org, Nevada Council on Problem Gambling. gamblingproblem.co.nz, New Zealand Gambling Problem Helpline Service. naughty.org, North American Training Institute. nrgs.org.au, Northern Rivers Gambling Service. Northern New South Wales, Australia. gamblingresearch.org, Ontario Problem Gambling Research Centre. gamblingaddiction.org, Oregon Gambling Addiction Treatment Division. cgs.co.nz, Problem Gambling Foundation of New Zealand. problemgambling.com, Problem Gambling Hub. responsiblegambling.org, Responsible Gambling Council, Ontario. msgambler.org, Mississippi Council for Problem and Compulsive Gambling. gamcare.org.uk, United Kingdom, Gamcare. wannabt.org, wannabt.org. wscpg.org, Washington State Council on Problem Gambling. Chapter 2. Gambling Addiction Websites from cali.org/health/mental_health/disorders/impulse_control/pathological_gambling. Pathological gambling websites. 21stepstostopgambling.com, Sean and Drew's 21 Steps to Stop Gambling. Provides information about a system to stop gambling. apgsa.org, Association of Problem Gambling Service Administrators. Supports the development of services that will reduce the impact of problem gambling. APGSA members are administrators of public funds dedicated to the provision of problem gambling services. buttery.org.au/northern-rivers-gambling-counseling-service, Northern Rivers Gambling Service. Offers counseling for problem gamblers and their families. Situated in northern New South Wales, Australia. camh.net/egambling, Electronic Journal of Gambling Issues. Deals with gambling as a social phenomenon and the prevention and treatment of gambling problems. chancetochange.org, Chance to Change. Offers a Christ-centered gambling addiction recovery program, produced for churches. gamcare.org.uk, Gamcare. Offers a telephone helpline for people with gambling problems in the United Kingdom. Also, offers an internet chat helpline. naughty.org, North American Training Institute homepage. Specializes in responsible programs for the gaming and wagering industries, professional, accredited training programs, and in senior citizen and adolescent compulsive gambling issues. Includes Wanna Bet? Magazine for kids concerned about gambling. ProblemGambling.com, Problem Gambling Hub. Provides a hub for research, treatment, and discussion of problem gambling by the gaming industry and professionals who are concerned with the problem of gambling addiction. ResponsibleGambling.co.za, National Responsible Gaming Program. Offers problem gambling education, treatment, telephone counseling, research, and counselor training in Africa. ResponsibleGambling.org, Responsible Gambling Council. Ontario. wannabt.org, wannabt.org. Contains an online magazine for kids concerned about the dangers of gambling addiction. wanttostopgambling.com, Want to Stop Gambling. Offers a free self-help guide developed by a problem gambler. Gambling organizations. 1800betsoff.org, Compulsive Gambling Center. Provides information about their toll-free helpline services and treatment in Iowa. 800gambler.org, Council on Compulsive Gambling of New Jersey, Inc. Provides prevention, education, and referral services, and community outreach programs. calpg.org, California Council on Problem Gambling. Provides information about their 24x7 toll-free helpline, literature distribution, speakers bureau, clinical training, and employee awareness training. ccpg.org, Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling. Offers helpline services to residents of Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New York. Also, provides awareness and prevention programs. cprg.ca, Canadian Partnership for Responsible Gambling. Does research to find and promote effective ways to reduce the risk of problem gambling. Also, provides lists for treatment centers and helpline telephone numbers in Canada. DeProblemGambling.org, Delaware Council on Problem Gambling, Inc. Provides literature, support meeting information, treatment information, and 24x7 helpline. dhs.state.mn.us/compulsivegambling/default.htm, Minnesota Compulsive Gambling Program. Provides 24x7 helpline. Also, funds treatment, research, resource library and public education. gamblinghelp.org, Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling. Provides 24x7 helpline, prevention and education programs, and professional training. JEU-AIDEREFERENCE.qc.ca/www/homepage_n.asp, help and referral. Offers information, listening and support on compulsive gambling as well as referrals in Quebec, Canada. MassCompulsiveGambling.org, Massachusetts Council on Compulsive Gambling. Offers helpline and provides information and resources for anyone interested in learning more about problem gambling and its impact on individuals, families, and communities. MSGambler.org, the Mississippi Council for Problem and Compulsive Gambling. Offers helpline, training for healthcare providers and public awareness program. Also, conducts research and develops prevention and education programs for adolescents. NCPGambling.org, National Council on Problem Gambling. Disseminates information about problem and pathological compulsive gambling. Also, promotes the development of services for those with the disorder. NevadaCouncil.org, Nevada Council on Problem Gambling. Offers helpline, employee awareness training, literature distribution, professional education, community outreach and scholarship programs. Gambling research websites. basisonline.org/the_wager/index.html, the wager. Includes a Harvard Medical School weekly publication presenting the latest research on pathological gambling. firstmonday.org/issues/issue8_4/Fox, First Monday, Managing Internet Gambling in the Workplace. Includes a copy of peer-reviewed paper reports on the findings of research relating to Internet gambling in the workplace. GeminiResearch.com, Gemini Research. Specializes in managing and reporting on studies of gambling and problem gambling. nap.edu/books/0309065712/html, pathological gambling. Gambling support groups. FemaleGamblers.info, Women Helping Women. Offers support and informs women in recovery from a gambling addiction. ga.org.je, Gamblers Anonymous, Jersey Branch. Offers information about the local support group for compulsive gamblers in the European island country of Jersey. gaaustralia.org.au, Gamblers Anonymous Regional Service Office. Provides a calendar of meetings, outline of programs, testimonials, and suggested reading list. Based in Australia. gam-anon.org, gam-anon.org. Offers help for the spouse, family, and close friends of compulsive gamblers. GamblersAnonymous.org, Gamblers Anonymous International Service Office. Contains information about the Fellowship Support Group and its programs for compulsive gamblers. GamblersAnonymous.org.uk, Gamblers Anonymous UK. Provides information about a fellowship of men and women who have joined together to do something about their own gambling problem. Based in London, United Kingdom. sfcghub.com, Safe Harbor Compulsive Gambling Hub. Contains chat rooms and a forum for compulsive gamblers and their family and friends. Gambling Treatment Services. APLACEOFHope.com, The Center, a Place of Hope. Offers counseling treatment for gambling addictions, based in Edmonds, Washington. Also, sells Drive. Jantz's book titled Turning the Tables on Gambling. AsWexler.com, Arnie and Sheila Wexler Associates. Offers training, consultation, responsible gaming programs and treatment services. Based in Bradley Beach, New Jersey. GamblingRecovery.com, Gambling Recovery Center. Offers confidential, professional counseling. Based near Schenectady, New York. NonGambler.com, Williamsville Wellness. A unique residential treatment center designed exclusively for men and women suffering from the effects of compulsive gambling. Find information about the setting and gambling. Hanover, Virginia. ProjectTurnabout.org, Project Turnabout offers a residential program for compulsive gambling in Granite Falls, Minnesota, USA. ResilienceCounseling.com, Resilience Gambling Treatment offers outpatient treatment for individuals with gambling addiction and their families. Located central to Shakopee, Waconia, Chanhassen, and Chaska in Minnesota. SANDIEGO-RX4GAMBLING.com, San Diego Center for Pathological Gambling. Offers diagnostic evaluation and outpatient services to pathological gamblers and their families.